But we have to pass the bill so that you can find out what is in it.
We get some perspective now from supporters of both candidates, and we start with the minority leader in the U.S. House of Representatives, California Democrat Nancy Pelosi. She was the first and only woman to serve as Speaker of the House, and at this moment, she is the highest-ranking female politician in American history. But, Madam Leader, I think you're probably hoping that that's not going to last much longer after tonight. Is that right?
I'm counting the minutes to relinquish that title. I have worn my white and purple colors of the suffragettes in honor of the fact that we have our first woman president, soon to be Hillary Clinton, elected president of the United States. But the vote is sacred until the people speak. We don't celebrate.
So what are you expecting tonight? You obviously are hoping for Democrats to do well everywhere, but what are you hearing? What kind of judgment, information are you getting that you trust?
Well, tonight I believe that the Democrats will come out in a stronger position. We will, of course, retain the White House with the election of Hillary Clinton. I believe we will gain the United States Senate. It will be close, but we will gain the United States Senate, and we will pick up many seats in the House of Representatives.
Why are you so confident about the White House?
Because I'm confident in the American people. I believe that Hillary Clinton is one of the best prepared people in our history to enter the Oval Office with her vision, her knowledge, her experience, her strategic thinking, her connection to the American people, and I think she has made that case. But as you know, the vote is sacred. It's almost a prayerful time for us as we wait for the people to speak and the returns to come in. But I'm confident. I'm also confident because in our efforts to win seats to the House and to win the Senate, governorships, et cetera, we really have a massive mobilization. We own the ground, and we will pull out that vote. Said yesterday we did not have the majority, but we have the gavel. Excuse me. We don't have the gavel. We don't have the... We have our own gavel.
Back then, but now we're trying to make a political issue out of it now.
Gentlemen, will continue.
Yes, it is true. I did the research on it. You might want to try it. You might want to try it, Madam Leader.
And it didn't stop there. As the congressman walked away, Congresswoman Pelosi stormed across the aisle again, waving her finger. Watch and listen. Even fellow Democrats appear surprised.
I yield 1 minute to the gentleman from Washington, Adam Smith.
Gentleman from Washington is recognized for 1 minute.
What is she doing?
What was she doing? Well, now in a primetime exclusive, Pennsylvania Congressman Republican Tom Marino joins us live. Good to see you, Congressman.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here.
All right, so I got to ask you, you're up there, you're making your remarks. Were you sort of surprised about her approaching and what was happening?
I wasn't surprised, but it's just a breach of protocol. I have never seen it, and my colleagues told me they have never seen it. But look, anything she does will not surprise me anymore.
She was clearly upset, and I understand this conversation continued. Can you tell us about any further words that were between the two of you after what we saw there? Sure.
When she came over the first time, she called me a liar. You're a liar. This isn't true. And you heard what I said about, look, I was a prosecutor for 18 years, so I did my research, did my homework, and told her about that and said to her that you might want to try that.
Well, I got to ask you this. Her office says that she was just coming to remind you that House Democrats had passed the DREAM Act. Obviously, you were saying that Democrats controlled everything, House, Senate, and White House, and didn't get this done. Her office says that she simply wanted to remind you that House Democrats had acted, and they also say that she accepts your apology. Yeah. But was there one?
No. First of all, if she wanted to remind me, she could have asked me to yield, to respond, to make a statement. She could have asked for more time on the floor. She didn't. She just simply was losing it. And when I finished and said, you know, I must have struck a nerve here, then she came back and followed me up and said that I was insignificant.
What was the context
insignificant. Of that? She looked very bizarre, very angry, to the point where she just said, you are insignificant. And, you know, I can take that. As I said, I was a prosecutor for 18 years. I was threatened by drug dealers, murderers, and organized crime. This was a walk in the park. I just suggested to her that we go off the floor, and so there wasn't a scene. And again, she told me I was insignificant. She's telling really my people in my district they're insignificant. She's telling the American people who aren't royalty, because there is a fair number of people who act like royalty, and that was a primary example of it. And I just simply said, you're acting arrogant, and let's discuss this. And then she was escorted off the floor by the sergeant at arms. And
But let's just back up from, with all due respect to the speaker, that what he said is not the gospel truth. The fact is that a lot of the spending increases came during the Bush administration. 2 unpaid-for wars that we got ourselves engaged in, a prescription drug plan that added enormous amounts to our spending, and the tax cuts for the high end that did not create jobs and create revenue coming in. Yes, we had the Recovery Act, which saved or created 3.5 million jobs. You know, the record of job growth in the private sector has been consistent for many record number of months. So it isn't as much a spending problem as it is a priorities, and that's what a budget is, setting priorities.
But you talk about growth. Even Christina Romer, the former head of the Council of Economic Advisors for the President, says you increase taxes, that also hurts growth.
Well, it's about timing. It's about timing, and it's about timing as to when you make cuts as well.
But the fiscal cliff, you raised taxes $650 billion right away.
Yeah, and that was a very good thing to do on people making over the high end in our population. Nothing brings more money to the Treasury of the United States than investment in education of the American people. So it is almost a false argument to say we have a spending problem. We have a budget deficit problem that we have to address.
The top 1%,
Right.
top 1% pay 37% of all federal income taxes. The top 5% pay 59% of all federal taxes. If you took the total income of everyone making more than $1 million a year, if you taxed it all at 100%, that's only $726 billion, which is less than the projected deficit for this year. I mean, the bottom line, Congresswoman, is you can't raise taxes enough to solve the deficit problem.
Nobody is saying that. We're saying it has to be balanced.
We just couldn't be prouder. I believe that it's a winner. And by the way, it's called the Affordable Care Act. It's called the Affordable Care Act. I know you didn't intend any compliment or derogatory, but it's called the Affordable Care Act. Affordable. Affordable. There's a reason. Affordable. 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 Affordable.
Wow. Which one of them could you look in their eyes today and tell them that they're expendable for another foreign person to have a nicer life? Which one would you like to say? You, my child, are expendable for someone else to come over here and not follow the law and have a nicer life.
Well, again, I commend you for sharing your story. I can't even imagine the pain. No, I can't even imagine. There's nothing, I'm sure, that can compare to the grief that you have. And so I pray for you. I pray for you. And again, we all pray that none of us has to experience what you've experienced. So thank you for channeling your energy to help prevent something like that from happening. But I do want to say to you that in our sanctuary cities, our people are not disobeying the law. These are law-abiding citizens. It enables them to be there without being reported to ICE in case of another crime that they might bear witness to.
Inauguration, there's complete evidence. We've seen nothing that we can work, but I can work with President Bush on, and I'm disappointed. Can work with President Bush. Can work with President Bush. Can work with President Bush on, and I'm disappointed because I thought that there might be some interest because of what he said in the campaign, which turns out to be not true, a hoax, and really dangerous to the economic stability of America's work.
What he said was that the insurance companies must tell the policyholder what they are deprived of, that they're not getting a pre-existing condition ending
Right, but there are
discrimination.
cancellation notices going out. There's 1 million of them in California.
Yeah, and it's not. And what they have to do now is to send another letter that says, this is what this is going to mean to you in terms of you won't get pre-existing condition discrimination, and here are the other options that are available to you in the marketplace.
But the president has been apologetic. He's been accountable for saying something that was not the case. You were Speaker of the House. You, in many ways, were seen as an architect and a key ally on this. And this is what you said back in June of 2009 on MSNBC. Watch.
What we are talking about is affordable, quality, accessible health care for all Americans. It's about choice. If you like what you have and you want to keep it, you have the choice to do that.
Are you accountable for saying something that turned out not to be correct?
Well, it's not that it's not correct. It's that if you want to keep it, and it's important for the insurance company to say to people, this is what your plan does. It doesn't prevent you from being discriminated against on the basis of pre-existing conditions. It doesn't lifetime limits, annual limits, and the rest of that.
There's a bottom line to this, which I think people understand and the president has acknowledged, which is if there are not, the government is deciding, there have to be minimum standards that are minimum requirements in any health care plan.
Yeah.
So if you have something and you like it and it doesn't meet what the government says you have to have, you cannot keep it. And that's not what you said
If you had your plan before the enactment of the law in 2010, if you had your plan before, there is nothing in the law that says you have to. But, you know, again, we can go back and forth on this.
Right, but this is an important deal because the grandfathering has changed. And the bottom line is the president has acknowledged, it doesn't seem like you're acknowledging, that saying to people back in 2009, hey, this is going to be easy. If you like what you have, you can keep it. This is all about choice.
You could, if you had your plan until the enactment of the law in 2000. The grandfathering is for those before 2000. But let me say this, and I commend the president. He's gracious, and he's taking responsibility. But that doesn't mean that there was anything in the law that said if you like what you had before 2010, you couldn't keep it. I think it's really important to make that point. He took responsibility for the big picture, and that's important for him to do, because that's what people see. But there is nothing. But you said earlier, if the law says that you must be canceled, the law doesn't say that. But again, neither here nor there. How do we go forward?
But the bottom line is people are getting policies that are canceled, and that was not the representation that was made. And it was also foreseeable. It was part of the debate that this actually happened.
Well, now, I would agree with you for the policy since 2010, but not for the 2000 before. But the president has also said that the insurance companies, and many of them have been very responsible, and some not so, the insurance company has to say to you, you're not getting the exemption, pre-existing conditions, you will have lifetime limits, you will have annual limits, and by the way, you have to tell people that they can go to the exchange, the marketplace, where they may qualify for a subsidy, or they may just get a better price.
The big picture on this is that it doesn't seem to be working right now. And you argued at the time, you said, look, there's a lot of controversy around this. It's politically hot, and that people don't understand the good things. Right, and that people don't understand the good things that are in it. But then you said this in March of 2010. Watch.
But we have to pass the bill so that you can find out what is in it, away from the fog of the controversy.
And hasn't that idea that you have to pass it before you know what's in it, isn't that really the problem as you look back on it? That there was such a rush to get this done, no Republicans voting for it, and now there are unintended effects of this that were foreseen at the time that you couldn't know the impact of it, and now this is coming home to roost.
No.
Leader Pelosi says that this vote for contempt is a Republican plan to suppress the vote. Her theory, I guess, is that you're trying to get the Attorney General of the United States and that he is aggressively going out there fighting a suppression of the vote. Your response to that?
Well, you know, my friend Alan West said the race card was the last card in the deck. I think former Speaker Pelosi has opened up a new deck and has found the two of clubs. I could not believe it when I heard her saying that. Is that all you have to come back with? Is that the best you can come up with? Is that we got together in this grand scheme to suppress votes? And I'm sure she didn't say southern states, but that's what she meant. It's really beneath the office of a member of Congress to say something that outrageous, and the fact that she was once the Speaker is mind-numbing. I honestly, and I've heard a lot in my 16 years as a prosecutor, I couldn't believe the words coming out of her mouth. But keep in mind, Greta, this is the same woman who said that she could have arrested Karl Rove any day she wanted. So I don't know what was wrong with her yesterday or today or whenever she said that, but I would schedule an appointment with my doctor if she thinks that we are doing this to suppress votes this fall. That is mind-numbingly stupid.